Formula One teams and drivers often try to get each other in trouble. It's part of the competitive nature of elite sport to look for anything that works to your advantage and the disadvantage of your opponents. That's why we so often hear complaints over the radio, particularly from drivers. As Valtteri Bottas put it during the Styrian Grand Prix weekend, everyone is trying to screw you over in a bid to get their rivals penalised. We'll come back to what Bottas was so annoyed about later on. Before we do, we'll take a look at why F1 has a culture of complaining. And if you've got any views on the moaning we hear over the radio, make sure you join the debate in the comments on this video. Rarely does an F1 session pass without someone being annoyed or upset by something someone else did on track. Of course, some drivers complain on the radio just to vent, and in those cases we're mainly amused that rather than just shouting in their helmet, they feel the need to press a button so their engineer can hear it too. But usually there is a motive behind the radio complaint. It's to increase the chance of the incident in question being passed to the stewards to be investigated. In modern F1, with every car's onboard camera footage available at all times, plus the trackside broadcast cameras and additional CCTV footage, it might seem pointless to report that someone forced you off the track, or ruined your lap in qualifying, or cut a corner to stay ahead of you. But teams understand that with so much going on during any F1 session, and especially a race, it's impossible for race control to be across everything in real time. Although these days perhaps they could just keep up with everything via Reddit, where incidents are often posted within seconds of them happening. Unfortunately, the FIA doesn't have as many people at its disposal as social media does. So for a long time, teams and drivers have known that a good way to get something noticed is to report it. During the late Charlie Whiting's reign as race director, he would often be mentioned by name in the radio messages to make it clear. You can often tell when a conversation is taking place between a driver and an engineer for the benefit of the race director. An accusation will be made, usually followed by a bland, "Yes, we saw that, he clearly held you up." It's a signal that the matter will be taken up on behalf of the driver. The system isn't perfect, but it's unlikely the FIA is about to go on a massive recruitment drive to monitor every car on every metre of the circuit anytime soon. However, it has created a culture akin to football players rolling around on the floor in pretend agony in hope of winning a free kick or getting an opponent into more serious trouble. So many of the cries over the radio of wrongdoing are spurious. Some of that will be because drivers will have clouded judgment in the heat of the moment, but it's also because it's better to complain and be waved away than to keep quiet and find out something was missed. Fans are getting a new insight into how all of this works in 2021 as the TV broadcasts have started to include communication between the teams and race director Michael Masi for the first time. So far we've heard discussions such as Toto Wolff complaining about backmarkers holding up Lewis Hamilton, Red Bull suggesting a red flag after Max Verstappen's tyre failure in Baku, McLaren accusing Yuki Tsunoda of ignoring yellow flags in the same race, Red Bull and Mercedes complaining about curbs in France, and McLaren expressing outrage about Bottas' spin in the pits in Austria. Using the last incident as an example, Masi says that when something major and obvious has happened, he doesn't need a team to report it, he would pass it on to the stewards immediately anyway. That's what triggers the incident noted messages we sometimes see on screen before it's been decided if a full investigation is necessary. However, some things inevitably get missed. In the crazy finish to the 2021 Azerbaijan Grand Prix, race control understandably didn't see Nikita Mazepin's scary attempt to block Mick Schumacher on the main straight at the back of the field. Schumacher was furious afterwards, but as the incident was between teammates, Haas was never going to raise a complaint against its own driver. The stewards don't hear any of the communication between Masi and the teams, nor do they watch the race with any commentary or access to anything else external that could influence their decisions. Only if a matter is passed on to them will they look into it, often with access to more camera angles and data than TV viewers have. Interestingly, Masi has also revealed that the broadcasting of the messages he gets from the teams has reduced the number of complaints he receives. He feels the risk that a message could end up being played to the world makes teams think twice before they get in touch. Bottas was livid after being given a 3-place grid penalty for spinning in the pits during practice for the Styrian Grand Prix. He said he never imagined it would result in a penalty, and complained that other teams take any opportunity they can to complain to get others penalised. In this case, the only team to report it was McLaren, whose message to Masi was played out on TV. Mercedes boss Toto Wolff backed his driver, saying it was highly entertaining to hear teams complaining to Masi with what Wolff called Armageddon scenarios. Wolff called for more integrity to be shown, taking aim at those he feels push the button very quickly and moan about everybody else and whinge. But in the case of a spin in a live pit lane, for Bottas and Wolff to be outraged that McLaren complained is complete nonsense. McLaren's team manager Paul James called the spin absolutely ridiculous and claimed Bottas could have taken out McLaren mechanics out the front of their garage. Given that the Mercedes looped right around McLaren's pit box, that was a perfectly fair point. It was then a surprise to hear McLaren team boss Andreas Seidel say he felt the grid penalty was harsh and he wanted to move on from it. Perhaps the motivation there was to avoid a falling out with McLaren's engine supplier. The cherry on the cake to this story came on Saturday afternoon, when it was Bottas and Mercedes complaining on the radio that Yuki Tsunoda had blocked him in qualifying. It didn't affect Bottas' result in the end, as he set an impressive lap to go second fastest on his next run, but his moan did the job. Tsunoda joined him on the naughty step, picking up a 3-place penalty of his own. Maybe rather than everyone is always trying to screw you over, what Bottas meant to say was, we are all trying to screw each other over. Whether we like it or not, and whether Bottas and Mercedes like it when it suits them, F1's culture of snitching is here to stay. What do you think of all the radio complaints we hear from teams and drivers? Is it an accepted part of making sure genuine offences get picked up, or should everyone calm down and stop trying to rat each other out to the headmaster? Let us know what you think in the comments. Give this video a like if you enjoyed our explanation, and if you're not already subscribed to our channel, consider hitting that button so you never miss another video from the race.